嗨，大家好，欢迎来到 Universe。那今天这其实并不是一期这种特别的开箱视频啊，只是说我打算开箱，顺便记录一下自己拼它的过程。那全程也不会有任何的剪辑什么的，所以我会一边打算看一些死亡搁浅的设计视频，然后一边看了一边拼，反正就是主要是给自己记录一下。但是如果有朋友有兴趣的话，也可以看一看。那这一个是100加币买到的，我知道在日本我看到，在日本不过在国内第一批出的时候买是比较便宜的，但是现在这个价格已经涨上去了。我在加拿大找到的最便宜的就是这个$100的，是本地的一家店，也不是那个就是模型店 Metro Town Sakura， 如果大家有去那里买过的话 Metro Town 的那一家，这是寿屋的 DHV 麦哲伦，它有两种，大家可以看到这里，它有如果大家玩过死亡搁浅的话，就知道它这两种形态啊会跟着主线解锁的，所以基本就是这个样子。我去开一下。其实我已经很久没有拼过这种叫什么胶，对吧？这应该算。上次都是那个环太平洋的危险流浪者，不对，那个是复仇流浪者。环太平洋2的我倒是拼过，但是1的我确实没拼过。我只拼过那一个，你可以说。所以我也不熟，那都是我高中的时候拼的了，都是好多年以前。现在说实话也懒得特别做视频，没有那个精力。但是我就觉得，既然我要拼，我就把它记录一下吧，干脆。OK， 看一下里面这个对焦，我看还是对在这里更好。OK。这就是这个，我直接把麦克风的套给摘了。反正我甚至现在麦克风都没有放在我旁边。这种你要自己拼的模型 kit， 它可不是拼好的那种，有满一大堆，真的是。放在这儿。这是地台，我有时候都搞不清我的摄像机放在哪里。这是4K， 我应该录的是4K。说明书、贴纸，所以我等会儿就一边拼，我一边放一些什么小岛秀夫纪录片，或者甚至都可能不是和死亡搁浅也没必要非要有关系，反正。但是我就不说什么话了，咱们就单纯拼。站类的等会可以坐，这是个升降桌，这还是蛮方便的。 宜家家居我拼的多，这玩意儿我拼的还真不多，很少拼。那说明书是日语的，哎我去，等一下，原装进口啊，好家伙！说明书是日语的，朋友们，连英语的都不是。虽然也不太需要可能，但是咱们这个也看不懂啊，有的地方。破损注意。哦，选择是。parts no， 哦 parts 零件，靠，也不是看不懂吧，就看得懂，其实就有点费劲。parts cut， 我只有这个东西来剪，这是把普通的剪刀，所以我不知道它会不会需要特别的东西。我怕我被拼坏了，到时候。DHV 麦哲伦，哎呦，这个片假名啊！我怎么感觉它这个说明书非常的简单啊？是我的错觉吗？它真的是完整的说明书吗？1、2、B8，哦 ，B8是这个是吧？好像看起来不难拼哎，说实话。它这个包装盒上有包，没有印编号啊，就你自己看了，那就只能说是。包装盒上没有编号。这个是 B， 这一块是 B8， 我需要的这一块。给剪了，我拨个什么玩意呢？拨个什么 ？Death Stranding 2 Documentary 1的也行，其实但1我看过。Inside Kojima Productions， 咱们可以看，一边播这个，当个背景音，我就一边拼。当个背景音。
One of the most hotly anticipated games in years. ここまで来れたので、非常にこう。
我以前拼乐高的时候就喜欢这样子。比如说我拼那个。
高揚感というか。The first title from legendary Metal Gear creator Hideo Kojima since setting up his own company.
我拼这个的时候，我拼这个东京天际线的时候，我就是放了一个东京的资料片啊，不是纪录片，放了几个东京的纪录片，然后就一边拼这个东西。 然后还有一个没拼完的阿波罗登月器，哎呦，一直搁在那里没拼完。今天能不能把这个？我感觉这个好拼，因为它没有我想象的那么，它有一些部件吧，它是，我该怎么说呢？是大件。
We've had a unique insight into how it works, from coming up with the concept and writing the story, to directing every detail of the level design and music composition. This is how Hideo Kojima makes his games. We visited once before, in 2016, and this was a
这一
brand
块就
new
超大，
studio.
我们的第一块就是这个东西。
really special.
Now we're back as the only people in the world being allowed behind the scenes to see the team here in Tokyo put the finishing touches on a title that's had the games industry scratching its head for 3 years. Oh, look how bright it was in here. I first walked into this room about 2.5 years ago. Kojima Productions had been up and running for just a matter of months. Death Stranding, well, it was just a short and quite a strange trailer, to be honest. But now the game is just hours away from being finished, and we're here to see it go gold, which basically means it's ready for release. Game studios don't usually let cameras poke around the office before their title comes out, but something tells us that this studio wants this game to have a message. One, they don't want to get lost in the midst of all the mystery surrounding the release. So first thing on the agenda is to find out if we're right. And what
话
better
说
way to do that
微软
than
这
to sit
个
down with the man himself.
exposure
ゲーム中でデストランディングの中でプレイヤーがつないでいくんですけど、
这样更合适。
ユーザーの人が楽しんでくれるかなと思って作ってるので、楽しんでほしいんですけど、そこはちょっと
推交固定的
けども、一言で
这样它就不会乱对焦了。
同じような世界中にそういう人たちいると思うんですね。でゲームをやってる人は結構そういう人がいると思って、街中ではみんなでワイワイやってたり、するんですけど、やっぱり一人になって、リビングでゲームやってる人ってやっぱり何かしら社会と合わなかったり、コミュニティの中で合わなかったりする人がいると思うので、ただその人がこのゲームをやった時に自分みたいな人が世界中にいる、自分は孤独だけど世界中に孤独な人がいっぱいいるっていうのを知ることですごいホッとするというか、安心すると思うんですよ。だからそこをゲームで遊んでもらって感じてもらえばいいですね。
Focus tends to be about the place. People are kind of last things done before the game's finished and sent off to be sold in shops or downloaded all over the world. I'm also just want to see what's going on, so I'm going to stick my nose in places. Konnichiwa. Hi, nice to meet you. Thank you very much. So, what are you working on here?
它要是能在包装上写一个编号就好了，哪个是 A， 哪个是 B， 哪个是 C， 哪个是
At this
D。
stage of the process, then, with the game,
这个
just about to be finished, is this when you're at your busiest?
So right now we are just checking for bugs in the game. A month ago, time limit for the artist to finish their work was the busiest for them.
What you see on screen is obviously a major part of a game's success, but what you hear is important too. And for Death Stranding, there's one man in charge of that. Hey Vic, how's it going? Morning, how you doing? You alright?
I'm good.
Listen, thank you for your time.
No worries. Right now I'm basically making a rough mix for the launch trailer, which you can see up here. Usually I'd get something from Hideo and I'd react to that.
Yeah.
This time he's kind of reacting off of me, which is also interesting because I've been sitting down with him and kind of giving a few pointers as to what I'm hearing in my head when I wrote the music. Like, shouldn't there be more cuts here and so on and so forth? Of course he's the one in charge of everything, but it's fun to see something being built upon what you already did instead of the other way around.
Yeah.
This is BB's theme. This is the main vocal theme for the game.
When did you write that?
I finished up writing it like December last year, so it's been like 9 months since I wrote it. Hideo wanted a lullaby theme for Sam and also Cliff to be humming both in the game and in cutscenes. It came from just having like a simple theme, which is the da 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 da, which is heard throughout the game and in other tracks as well. So I need to do this rough mix and make sure that we don't have anything that's kind of embarrassing by 3 p.m. today when we're gonna watch it all together. So I'll do that.
We've got to leave you to it then if you've got a 3 o'clock deadline.
Tell me, Sam, what does America mean to you?
With just weeks to go before it's released, loads of people are still asking, what is Death Stranding?
这是前面的2个引擎还是散热片之类的进气口，其实有点像拼乐高，我好久没拼了，我已经忘记拼乐高是什么感觉。
Loosely, it blends travel, roleplay, and action together, where you're delivering messages to try and reconnect a broken world.
然后是这一块超大，
Choice and
这一块超大。
but one that's got players interacting with each other in a unique way. I got a chance to play the game too, but more on that later.
まずポジティブな「いいね」しかないです。ネガティブのサインはないので、ネガティブを相手に伝えることはできます。
Today's a good day. Thanks for the help.
そういう、ちょっと、行き過ぎてる今のオンラインの中傷とか暴力を、一歩というか間接的に意図的につなぎ直すことで、その辺のちょっと今失われているであろうその思いやりみたいなものを体感してもらうって言って、それが嫌だっていう人はまずいないと思うんです、世界中に。トランプが壁を作ってます。EU からイギリスが抜けようとしています。で、このゲームは、つないでいくので橋を架けていくんですね。
我真觉得一边看这种和这个游戏有关的宣传片，一边拼我们的麦哲伦非常有感觉。
ある橋を崩すだけで壁にもなるので、橋と壁はほぼ同義語なんですよ。なのでそういうところをもうちょっとゲームやりながら感じてもらって、欲しいなと思います。
To put it mildly, Hideo Kojima is a big deal in the gaming world. His first title, Metal Gear, came out in 1987.
The first Metal Gear game was made on this device.
It was the start of a near 30-year relationship with the publisher Konami. When Metal Gear Solid arrived for the PlayStation in 1998, his legacy as the man who made stealth games popular was secured. That series became iconic and gained a reputation for innovation. His last title, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, released in 2015, brought true open-world gaming to the series. Then, all of a sudden, Hideo Kojima announced that he was leaving Konami.
He worked at Konami for 30 years. His name was pretty much synonymous with Konami at the time.
His departure paved the way for Kojima Productions to become independent, and then work started on Death Stranding. Since that first trailer at E3 in 2016, we've learned little bits about the game and who's involved.
He wanted us to go and write a song in our style, and something that was a quintessential churchy song.
We begged and then we borrowed what will become of us all.
Questions have been raised online about whether giving him too much freedom is going to be good for the game.
Editors exist for a reason, right? And I think that at Konami, at least, there were probably people around to tell him no.
But plenty of gamers are hoping that Death Stranding will bring similar innovation to the industry today, just like the original Metal Gear did more than 30 years ago.
This game felt a lot more human, if that makes sense, than normal gaming, and it's encouraging connection, community, and working together on something.
He knows how to play with gaming as a concept. He knows how to really push the envelope technologically as well as creatively. And I know that what he does, nobody else can probably do.
In the studio, everyone is slowly gathering together. Even the lights have been dimmed, and there's an air of tense excitement as everyone in the company comes together to watch the final trailer.
Did you get it done in time?
Yeah, well, Mr. Kojima did a bunch of edits that I had about 30 minutes to fix, so I hope I didn't screw it up.
Sure you did.
This is a rough edit of the fairly lengthy, it's about 8 minutes, launch trailer for the game.
I let the more important people go in the front because they've worked on it, so they deserve to actually see.
我需要小心点，我已经这么快就搞坏一个地方了，就这个地方断，但是问题不大，因为它本来就塞到这里面去。但是这东西真的要小心点，我靠！这个我没有专门的工具，问题是我不知道他们用什么工具，镊子吗？钳子吗？这个剪刀不太好用啊，而且。Fuck me.
What's the other mark from? I need one in a cave.
Come and find me.
It's quite a big moment for people here because they haven't seen any of that stuff before. Oh, sorry, right now. And that's what's being used to sell the game to people all over the world, so they obviously liked it.
It might have been a hit with the staff, but straight after that viewing, Hideo is back at the video editing desk making changes.
最後のトレーラーなんで、デス・ストランディング知らない人も世界観とストーリーとゲーム性が分かるような、メッセージもような分かりやすいやつですね。どういうトレーラーを作るかを考えて、どこまで情報を出すかっていうのをまず構築しといて、それで曲を選べます。で、曲は、今回はその DB のテーマという、内作ルドが作った曲なんですけど、DB のメインテーマなんですけど、それをウォークマンに入れて、会社の行き帰りを何回も聴くと。で、普通はロンジトレーラーって映画のスタジオに丸投げして2億ぐらいかけて実写とかプリレンダーのやつを作ります。で、ゲームを作っている人はこんなことをしているのは世界で僕だけだと思うんですけど。
So Mr. Kojima is now going to work with Ludwig, who's the, in charge of the sounds, to really tweak this nail this trailer because they've got to get it done soon.
Freeze!
で、なんで今純正の代わりにバッティングラムがあるんですよ。はい。間にママタキ入ってるんで、取るんで、寝たい。最初のガンガンガンっていうとこ以外は。多分目ばたきの音は最後の最後に入れる感じになると思う。
It's intense to watch, but there's no messing around. In under 10 minutes, he's been through the entire trailer, given his feedback, and is back out talking to another member of the team.
Well done, good job.
Yeah, that's how we do.
Yeah. Press it off now for a bit.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
We just left the studio. Our work is pretty much done for the night. Not so much for the guys there, though. They're going to be there.
还好这一片搞断了，实际上没有影响。我这个
Now, when I was coming over
对
here,
焦
I thought I knew there wasn't any jeopardy that the game
它其实是这样子的，它是按进去的，所以虽然这一片断下来了，但还好没有影响。
After they've technically finished the game, things like sorting out the bugs and the kinks, and making the trailer and coming up with the merchandise. I sort of assumed that a lot of that stuff would be outsourced, but it's not. And so I was expecting like an end of season feel in the studio, but actually they're really busy and there's tons of stuff left to do. Part of the reason this team has got so much to do is because nearly all of Death Stranding is being made here, in-house. The cinematics team are responsible for all the cutscenes, and as you'd expect in a Hideo Kojima game, there are plenty of those. Over 7 hours, in fact.
Hey, Sam. Thanks for coming back.
And that's without all the other videos and stills that will be used to promote the game.
で、本当はキャラの関係あるやん。なんでこいつが向く。これデルトロでしょ。デッドマンと向き合ってるのは普通ないのよ。アメとこいつの関係となんていうの、この配列で分からなあかんので、しんちゃんの放射状やってんけど、ほんまこう並ばなあかんね。
So that's the poster sorted, but what about this first attempt at a teaser trailer?
Trapped between two different space labs.
ほんまのこと言うてビーチちょっと止めなかった。これごちゃごちゃになるんでこれやと、ビーチのより引きとかね、よりからどんビーチっていう入り口じゃないと結構ガチャゴチャいってるんで。そういうこと言うとシュンとするというようなんですけど、彼はできる人なんで言ってもいいです。同じ絵を思い浮かべてもらわないと話が進まないんですけど。
And with that, shall we say, quite direct feedback delivered, Hideo Kojima is off to see someone else. So I popped into his chair.
What's it like working with Mr. Kojima?
監督はなんかもう多分メディアで外に出てる以上に面白い人で、一緒に仕事するのすごくエキサイティングな人ですね。なんでこんなに出てくるんだっていうぐらいアイデアがどんどん出てくるっていう、そこに触れてられるのはすごく幸せです。
Thank you. Good luck.
The studio is a hive of activity today.
Konnichiwa. Hello, Stefan. Nice to meet you.
Just as we're finishing up our chat, over on the other side of the studio, one of the actors from the game is in to have a look. Mala Morgan is a big name here in Japan and is about to meet her in-game character for the first time.
何も出ないんで、あれだけで。ただ崖が落ちると死んじゃうので。リアルだ。
People have quickly started gathering around the middle of the office again. So having been here for a while, I'm starting to get the hang of it. This normally means that something's about to happen. With a bit of theatricals thrown in, you can forgive that though. This is a big moment for Kojima Productions. Gold Master approval means they've now got a version of Death Stranding that they and Sony are happy to sell to people on release day.
今回は独立して3年9ヶ月前なんですけど、全くないところから事務所もなくて、スタッフもなくて、エンジンもなくて、ちょっとこれまで30数年ゲーム作ってましたけど、ちょっと違う感覚で、非常に、感慨深いというか。
So that was a pretty big highlight for the team. Next, a pretty big highlight for me. Since 2016, I've been wondering what Death Stranding is like to play, and now I'm about to find out.
That's the basic. Make sure you don't fall.
Okay, right. But I'll try not to do it.
And who better to show me how it's done? It really is a cinematic experience that's sometimes like being on an adventure in Uncharted, and others like sneaking past zombies in The Last of Us.
It's all starting to make so much more sense now, because in all the trailers where he's taking stuff places, that's actually part of the mechanic, isn't it?
Since this first experience of the game, I've gone on to play for a further 40 hours or so. It's a title full of moments of high drama that leaves you on the edge of your seat. I found interacting with the shared online environment really rewarding, even if my nature as a gamer is just to mainline the story missions. The core gameplay mechanic, that of delivering messages over rough terrain, won't be for everyone. It might be a little tedious or repetitive for players who want or are used to games with faster paced action. This rewards patience and investment.
Well done, haven't you? I think that's. Thank you very much. Yeah, fantastic. Great. Thank you.
基础的形
With just
状
one more day left in the studio, and now with a much better idea of what the game is and what it's hoping to achieve, I've been thinking about how much is riding on this release for Hideo Kojima and the team. Our local producer Ryuzo loves his games and has played all of the Metal Gear series. So, on the journey into the studio for the last time, I wanted to ask him how Hideo Kojima is perceived here in Japan.
Maybe he's one of the most famous game creators here in Japan.
Because Japan's got loads of, more famous game creators than elsewhere because of Nintendo and stuff, and you'd say Kojima sort of up there?
Yeah, definitely up there on that list. And he's kind of different from all the other people. He has more of a celebrity status.
Yeah.
But his games are different because it's based heavily on reality. It always seems to have a social message inside the game.
Yeah.
Even though it would be a risk for a game studio that's not known for anything to be this secretive.
Yeah.
But because it could be Kojima Studios, people will still definitely buy his game.
Because we've been in the studio now for a few days together. Can you tell me what the game is? Yeah.
I cannot.
Yeah. So do you think that sort of gamers are giving him more leeway because of the work he's done before?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We've clearly seen that Hideo Kojima is the overall visionary for this game.
Morning. Hi, nice to see you again.
But he does have a carefully selected core team around him. An art director, Yoji Shinkawa, is right at the top. The two have worked together since Metal Gear Solid in the 90s.
There's so much competition out there now for people's attention. How have you been trying to draw people into spending time with, this game and in this world with your, work on the characters?
So our main focus is not on getting as much attention as possible. It's more about trying to develop a character that is interesting for us and that is cool for us. I'm sure there are studios that focus developing characters on market research or what's going to be received well out there. But for us, it's more about creating a character that is fun for us while doing it.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Look at that. Yeah, exactly like me. Yeah.
将来的にコジブロは映画も作る人間は一個のことができたら何でもできるはずなんで3年4年5年以内にストリームになると思うので全てが映画もドラマも、ゲームも全部ストリームになって、iPad とかiPhone とか、モニターとかでどこでもいつでもできるようになると思うんですけど、そうなるとやっぱり映画もドラマもゲームも同じ土俵に来るのでそこでの、新しい形態のエンターテインメントっていうのは興味があってそれをやりたいと思ってます。でも今回のはちょっとやっぱりそもそも僕がこの最初作ったのは、デトロ監督も言ってましたけど休むんじゃなくて、ファンが期待している新しい要素はありますけどやっぱりその基盤となっているのは今皆さんが遊んでるゲームではあります。古いゲームというか。ゲームの世界には何十時間といてそこからどうしてもリアルの世界に戻るので最終的には帰った時にこの中で経験したものをなんかリアルの世界で使ってほしい、それだけです。だからその一つがその今回をつなぐっていうテーマなので。
Champagne, no?
With the game officially finished, the studio is putting on a party.
Guerrilla Games, the people who made the engine, they sent the cake over.
There's still bits for the team to tidy up and perfect, but after all the hard work and the undoubtedly long hours, this is a chance to celebrate with a special guest. Shuei Yoshida is one of the big bosses at Sony.
So this has been an experience like no other I've had in a game studio before. It's a company that's based around one man. Fair enough. I mean, you don't have to work hard to guess that. The clues in the title, right? But being here for the last few days, seeing just how involved he is in everything that happens here, from the big conceptual stuff to the smallest, tiniest detail, the nitty-gritty, like where a drum hits in the music of a trailer. It's really rare, I think. And so the question is, I suppose, is that the best way to make games in this day and age? And it's a question that only really the people who played Death Stranding will be able to answer.
安装下一个部件。哼，这下面有一块东西没磨掉，有点无语。有这种小的这种凸起，好麻烦呐！我靠。
Yeah, that skin's like lycra body.
Items. Of course, that's not possible in real life. Therefore, Hideo wanted to add the element of weight into the game to help players more clearly understand the importance of their items. As a result, when you have to deliver something from point A to point B, you have to plan your journey and carefully select what tools to bring if you're planning on climbing mountains and crossing rivers. This way, the team aimed to create a realistic but still fun and challenging traversal system. That realism also extends to Sam, the main character. Unlike most other video game characters, Sam isn't super strong, can't fly, can't jump high, and isn't even a trained soldier like Solid Snake. Hideo compares Sam to a blue-collar worker who needs to watch his step or he'll literally fall to the ground. Early in development, they envisioned Sam wearing a more futuristic-looking suit, but toned it down when they settled on the blue-collar idea. Art director Yoji Shinkawa explained that when you go too far into the sci-fi direction, it kind of takes away from reality and players won't relate to the characters as much. To achieve a more believable and convincing story, Hideo decided to work with real actors such as Norman Reedus, Mads Mikkelsen, and Lea Seydoux. While he admits it's not easy, as it involves a bigger budget, scheduling issues, and other problems, once he saw their expressive performances, he couldn't imagine going back to the unconvincing results of strictly animating things by hand. Fun fact, Keanu Reeves almost played the role of Clifford Unger, one of the game's villains. One of Hideo's close friends, Nicholas Refn, first introduced him to Mads Mikkelsen. Nicholas, who also gave his likeness to the character of Heartman in Death Stranding, has written and directed movies like Drive, Only God Forgives, and The Neon Demon, so he's pretty well connected in Hollywood. Hideo really liked Mikkelsen, so when he started writing the character of Clifford, it was with him in mind. Before Hideo offered the role of Clifford to Mikkelsen, however, he met up with Nicholas to ask for his opinion. Nicholas said that Mads Mikkelsen is a great actor.
应该买一套专业工具。
Reeves would be an even better fit. Hideo was actually close to following Nicholas's advice, but decided to trust his instincts instead and offered the role to Mikkelsen. Before we move on to the game's mixed critical reception, I'd like to quickly go over a few other interesting development facts. Certain elements, like Sam's BB pod and Hicks black and gold design, took some inspiration from ancient Egyptian culture. The cufflinks were one of the first things Yoji drew as concept art. Die Hard Man was originally envisioned as a tough-looking character covered in scars. Abstract versions of the BTs were explored in early concepts, but after several iterations, concepts based on actual creatures felt scarier and more convincing. Some of the major difficulties in creating concepts for the cities were figuring out the scale and balancing how desolate they should feel. While all cities are inhabited, the people in them don't venture outside and are isolated, confined to their respective indoors. Count Not City was supposed to be a city wiped out by a void out. Its name disappeared from the game, however, and its ruins were left near the old shopping mall. In less than 4 years, Hideo Kojima built his own independent studio and had his first game ready to ship. During that period, numerous trailers showcased the story and gameplay, making gamers around the world very excited to experience Death Stranding, especially since it was the first time Hideo could create something without any restrictions, or shareholders breathing down his neck. Although he was happy with the way the game turned out, he was still worried about how Death Stranding would be received worldwide, just as he was when he released the first Metal Gear title. It's the same as when I first brought out a stealth game. If 100 people play it and 100 people say it's fun, it means the genre or the game already exists. But this is a new genre, same as stealth the first time. There will be people who don't get it. It will take time for the real evaluations to come in. Hideo understood the risk that people might not accept it, but for him it was worth it to push the boundaries of the medium and create something unique. On November 8, 2019, Death Stranding was released on PlayStation 4 to mixed reviews. While it received numerous perfect scores, other major gaming websites gave it plenty of 6s and 7s out of 10. Some reviewers even rated it a 5 out of 10 or lower. As a result, critiques ranged from Death Stranding is dizzying, unshakable in its belief it is doing something worthwhile, and is one of the most important games of this decade, to an irredeemable piece of garbage that should serve as a warning to publishers who give developers carte blanche to create quote-unquote art. Across the board, however, gamers and critics seem to agree that the social strand system was a very interesting and memorable addition to the game. Players were collectively helping each other by building bridges and roads, leaving behind useful items, and placing helpful signs in a semi-open world. This positive community forming around Death Stranding proved to Hideo that he had reached his intended goal, and that the game's core values of solidarity, empathy, and patience connected with people all around the world. Those core values perhaps became even more meaningful a few months after the game's release, when the world of Death Stranding became a reality during the COVID pandemic. Just like in the game, people had to isolate themselves and stay indoors. During that period, Hideo received many messages from people who felt the game saved them because it indirectly connected them to others. Death Stranding won multiple awards in 2019 and 2020, most of them for its audio design and technical achievement. Its PC release also won PC Game of the Year at the Golden Joystick Awards, and Hideo took home the Best Game Direction Award during the 2019 Game Awards show. Furthermore, as of May 2020, the PS4 version had sold enough copies to recoup the development costs and turn a profit. In July 2021, Kojima Productions announced that the game had sold 5 million copies across PS4 and PC. A director's cut of Death Stranding was released on PS5 in September 2021, adding additional content such as advanced combat mechanics, additional delivery support tools, a race circuit, and new story missions. In December 2023, it was announced that Death Stranding had reached over 16 million players across all available platforms, including free access as part of subscription services. Impressive numbers, especially considering it's a new IP and that Hideo's previous high-selling games were Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, which both sold over 7 million copies each. All of Death Stranding's success was enough to justify a sequel titled Death Stranding 2 On the Beach, which is slated to be released in 2025. Hideo had actually written the sequel's story before the COVID pandemic started, but chose to rewrite it from scratch after experiencing what it's like to live in complete isolation. In December 2023, A24, the film production and distribution company, announced a partnership with Kojima Productions to adapt Death Stranding into a live-action feature film. Not much is known about the collaboration as of this video's release, except that it won't be a direct translation of the game, and that anyone who loves cinema will be able to enjoy the movie. Apart from Death Stranding, Kojima Productions is keeping busy with the horror game OD, which is in development for Xbox. Hideo and horror director Jordan Peele both serve as writers, and the game will utilize Xbox Game Studios' cloud gaming technology to create a new form of media experience that will test your fear threshold. In early 2024, it was revealed during a PlayStation State of Play that the studio is also working on a next-generation espionage action game called Fizzend, signaling Hideo Kojima's return to the stealth genre. According to Hideo himself, the game will be a culmination of his entire career, which spans almost 4 decades. In June 2024, Noriaki Okumura, the producer of the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, mentioned during a livestream that he would love to work with Hideo again to create more Metal Gear games. That being said, it seems like Kojima Productions is going to steer clear of collaborating with existing IPs in the foreseeable future. Kojima Productions isn't publicly traded, so I don't have some goal of steadily growing the company. I just want to leave behind good work, and that's the stance I'm taking while making games, while also considering making other kinds of visual projects. We're going to maintain the stance of making our own IP, and not working on IP licensed from others. In a 2023 documentary titled Hideo Kojima Connecting Worlds, Hideo spoke about how his age has started to really worry him. He turned 60 in 2023, and this got him wondering how many more games he'll be able to make. In the end, he tries not to worry too much, and instead reminds himself why he began making games in the first place. My ambitions expand as more things become possible. There's an effect of what's in my head expanding like this, and that's precisely why entertainment in this technology zone is so compulsive. It's limitless, and you never get bored of it. It's irresistible fun.
The world of Death Stranding is haunted, both in a literal sense, but also a metaphorical one. If you're familiar with my channel, you'll know I'm a bit of a horror enthusiast. It's by far my favourite genre. This is in large part thanks to its more unrestricted nature, which allows creators to explore themes and stories that would otherwise feel out of place. And whilst I wouldn't attribute Death Stranding to being a game that belongs to the horror genre, it does borrow elements from it. In this video, I want to dissect this aspect of the game, and how it directly influences both the gameplay and the story. So join me as we explore the bizarre and disturbing world of Death Stranding. Perhaps the most literal form of horror found in this game are the beached things, or BTs for short. These are souls that are stranded in the world of the living, those that passed away but failed to cross through the space in between the living and the dead, referred to simply as the beach. The inclusion of this location and its direct connection to the ghostly apparitions reminds me of the link between the malevolent spirits in the Insidious franchise and the Further, a mysterious realm that they are likewise tethered to. But whereas the supernatural entities in the Insidious franchise haunt an individual, the BTs in Death Stranding haunt the world itself, with the echoes of these trapped souls posing a similarly real threat, but one that also covers almost every corner of its melancholic landscape. This combination of a natural and understated world against the dangerous otherworldly beings inhabiting it are a significant contributor towards the game's distinctive identity, with the juxtaposition between moments of quiet, contemplative scenic views and sudden heart-pounding encounters, creating an atmosphere that feels simultaneously inviting and uninviting.
Good morning, Sam. Blood collection complete. Thank you for your generosity.
This feeling extends to our private room, which is a space the player will visit frequently as part of the gameplay loop, serving as respite in between deliveries. In this location, we can rest, take a shower, play music, modify equipment, and catch up on emails. It's one of the few places that feel truly safe, at least initially, because whilst there's no actual perceivable danger, the private room ends up playing host to some of the more frightening scenes in the game, such as this cutscene that harkens back to PT, with a beached thing seemingly inspired by Lisa, the supernatural entity that haunted the playable teaser of Kojima's cancelled Silent Hill game. This moment was not only incredibly unexpected, but also confirmed the randomized nature of the private room. In reality, scenes like this are extremely rare, with only a small likelihood that they'll actually occur. But due to how much this PT-inspired scene took me by surprise, every time I entered the private room following it, I couldn't help but feel just slightly on edge, as though I could never allow myself to lower my guard completely, just in case. It's a great example of a developer using horror tropes to subvert our expectations by toying with the concept of safe spaces within a game. presence of BTs in the game world exponentially heightens the threat in Death Stranding. And I'm not just referring to the risk of damaging our precious cargo, although that is vitally important. The danger the BTs pose to human life can have a massive ripple effect known as a void out. If a beached thing consumes an individual, the crossover of their dead matter against that of the living creates a cataclysmic explosive reaction. This explosion has the potential to wipe out cities, with the burst of energy annihilating the population and leaving nothing but a crater in its wake. Whilst our playable character Sam Porter-Bridges possesses a far lower risk of dying and therefore triggering a void out, thanks to him being something referred to as a repatriate, the risk of these crater-sized explosions remains ever present in the story and during certain moments of gameplay. In most post-apocalyptic settings, the near-extinction level event has already taken place. The stories surround the remaining survivors picking up the pieces and trying to endure the newfound environment. For example, in Fallout New Vegas, one of my favorite games, the bombs have already dropped.
拼到这儿吧，该干活了，工作了。我只是刚才没有试，我拼一拼，只能等到下次没有试，我再继续拼喽。但说实话，真的这个好难搞啊！就大家看这边这个，啊 ，come on， 自动对焦，哦，我没调自动，不对，我调自动对焦。自动对焦真的是不行，就边上这个东西，啊，这种刺啊，扎得我手都疼，我不知道是要用什么东西把它磨掉吗？就这个东西，大家看到没有？这种，啊，这种边上的小刺，我现在没有工具，但反正这个是船的这个主体，感觉是不错的，驾驶舱也安上了，舱门前面的引擎。后面，现在就是我这么小一个，反正这就是今天的进度，扎死我了！我靠。